Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is ZJ Pierce. I am the host of the Nerdz Watching Wrasslin Podcast, and welcome to Quick Reacts, where I take a look at insert wrestling show here and give you my reaction / review of it, just in case you wanted an outside opinion or you didn't happen to catch the show yourself. And today we are talking about the January 28th episode of Aew Dynamite. Very title heavy with a lot of championship implications. A very Don Callis family heavy episode of Dynamite, if you ask me. But if you want to know about it, let's go ahead and get into it. Tag me in. So we start the show off immediately with our Lord and Savior, Kenneth Rondell Omega, taking on Rocky Romero of the Don Callis family. Y'all, this match didn't even last 5 minutes. I kid you not. Like, look, I'm like, you see I'm standing over Rocky Romero's neck. Boy, you lasted less than 5 minutes. How dare you waste Kenny Omega's time like that? It's given that Sonny Kiss meme from the pandemic, Rocky. You need to do better. Because after getting Kenny in the corner for less than 2 seconds, he does some little showboating like he messy or somebody. Kenny Omega immediately hits a V-trigger to the back of this boy's head, hits a Snapdragon suplex, another V-trigger against the rope for a good measure before hitting the one-winged angel for the win. After the match, we are informed by Tony Schiavone that Kenny Omega is now in the top 4 contenders for the AEW Championship, meaning the winner of the main event will face Kenny Omega, and then that person will face Hangman Adam Page. The winner of that match will get a shot at MJF or whoever the World Heavyweight Champion is come Revolution in March. Kenny Omega says, whether it be friend or foe, I look forward to being the next world champion and beating whoever I have to beat. This brings out both Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, who all lay their claim for the AEW World title. But, Swerve says it and comes off a little, you feel me? So Kenny says, like, I get you want to be champion, but it sounds like you're looking for a fight. Swerve says, and basically, before they are all interrupted by Don Callis, and Don Callis lets Swerve know that he is not going to move on to the AEW World title because he will lose to Andrade El Idolo in the main event before Kenny Omega just, chases him off. Don Callis is still very scared of Kenny Omega. Next, Jon Moxley takes on Ace Austin in an AEW Continental Championship Eliminator match. For those of you who don't know what the Eliminator match is an AEW. It is where if you beat the champion who gives you said Eliminator match, you immediately become number 1 contender for that title. AEW Continental Champion is Jon Moxley, and this was Ace Austin's AEW Dynamite debut. For those of y'all who are unfamiliar with this young man, Ace Austin, he made his name on the indie scene before being signed with TNA, where he became one of the top 3 X Division champions of the last 10 years, in my opinion, as well as a member of Jay White's Bullet Club, which is why he is now associated with the Bang Bang Gang in AEW. So Ace Austin is definitely one to watch out for in the future, and he had a very good showing here, getting a very good few near falls on Jon Moxley, making Jon Moxley really work for it. But this was ultimately Moxley's match to win as he countered Ace Austin's fold finisher to hit a cutter and a Death Rider for the win. This was very good stuff from Moxley. Immediately upon the victory, he is interrupted by another member of the Don Callis family. Once again, I told y'all this episode is very Don Callis family heavy. Konosuke Takeshita, who says that he wants that Continental Championship and is not lost on Moxley because Konosuke Takeshita did defeat Jon Moxley in the Continental Classic. And, there's still a little asterisk next to Jon Moxley's thing. As Takeshita is leaving, he is attacked by Mark Davis and Jake Doyle of the Don Callis family. Like I said, the Don Callis family was pretty much everywhere in this match. Speaking of Don Callis family, as you see below me, member of Don Callis family, El Clone, then took on Mark Briscoe for the TNT Championship. This was a very fun match. As someone who was unfamiliar with El Clone going in because I didn't watch Collision as much, I just thought he was heel hologram, which I am learning he basically is. When hologram is found, it's medically clear we're going to get that hologram versus clone match, aka Sin Cara versus Sin Cara. But that's neither here nor there. El Clone is very good, and he put up a very good fight against Mark Briscoe. I was very entertained through this match. I didn't think El Clone was going to win, but he had a lot of very good near falls, including kicking out of the Froggy Bow and countering the Jay Driller. But it was ultimately Mark Briscoe who got a high stack roll up on El Clone to retain the TNT Championship. We learned that the TNT Championship will be defended on TNT this Saturday on Collision. And Mark Briscoe lays out the open challenge to anyone who wants it except for a member of the Don Callis family because the conglomeration and the Don Callis family have been beefing for a while. This leads to the amazing debut of the psycho killer Tommaso Ciampa in AEW. Yes, he has already made the jump. We know he said that very soon his contract is up. We didn't know that he wasn't even going to make it to Rumble weekend. But yes, the psycho killer Tommaso Ciampa is in AEW. This Saturday, he will debut on Collision for the TNT Championship. And since the Royal Rumble is early in the day, I might just go ahead and cover Collision just so I can cover Tommaso Ciampa's AEW debut. I'm so excited. Oh my God, it's going to be great. Next, Kazuchika Okada is backstage apologizing to Kyle Fletcher about what happens at World's End and in the C2. And Kyle Fletcher accepts Kazuchika Okada's apology, but this does not sit well with Konosuke Takeshita, as we learn later in the night. Next, our AEW World Heavyweight Champion MJF comes out to seemingly cut a promo on the Contenders, but he is immediately interrupted by Brody King. MJF proceeds to just call Brody King a follower as he's been following Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and now Bandito. He even offers to pay Brody King to follow him because, he could use another heavy, another Warlow type. But he also reminds Brody King that if he wants an AEW World Heavyweight Championship match, he has to beat somebody meaningful because Brody King lately has just been doing a bunch of job matches on Collision, just squashing people. So Brody King obliges and tells MJF that's exactly what he's going to do because after talking to Tony Khan, Brody King now has an AEW World Championship Eliminator match next week against MJF, meaning that if he beats MJF next week on Dynamite, he will get an AEW World Heavyweight Championship match at Grand Slam Australia on Valentine's Day. I cannot wait for Brody King to just absolutely murder MJF next week. It's going to be so good. The Young Bucks put the tag team division on notice, letting them know that they are back to their super kick party ways. And then Chris Statlander takes on Thekla in a very good match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Thekla is honestly one of the coolest women in wrestling, period. She's now not the coolest on AEW's roster because I still find Big Stat Daddy top notch. But she played a very good dominating heel in this match. Obviously, the Sisters of Madness were banned from ringside because the Bays of Wrath offered them a tag team title match if they didn't get involved. So this just allowed Chris Statlander and Thekla to go out and have an amazing match, which they did, with Chris Statlander ultimately getting the victory after a powerbomb and Wednesday Night Fever combo. After the match, she is stared down from the stage by the Megasis Megan Bayne, who is finally making her presence known for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I cannot wait for this series of matches. Next, Mark Davis and Jake Doyle of the Don Callis family took on FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championships. This was a very good TV match, but when you'll always have that struggle when you go heel versus heel. So obviously FTR, those guys up there, they had to play the babyface role in this scenario. Obviously, I'm trying to make sure that there weren't any Don Callis family shenanigans. And it kept it pretty neutral with Stokely Hathaway on commentary. Ultimately, this was more of an angle than a match because, like I said, Jon Moxley was attacked by Davis and Doyle earlier in the match. So towards the ending, Jon Moxley was able to come out with Marina Shafir and the Continental title, hit Mark Davis in the head with it, allowing FTR to hit the Shatter Machine for the win and the tag title retention. Love this for them. And in the main event, we have Andrade El Idolo of the Don Callis family taking on Swerve Strickland in that aforementioned number one contender 4-person setup that we talked about at the beginning of the show. This is just a very good match, a very good clash of styles between Andrade El Idolo and Swerve Strickland. You forget how good Andrade is, especially if all you know him from is his WWE bookings, which has been bad over the last couple of years. But this was a very good match with Prince Nana on the outside and Don Callis on commentary. It ultimately led to a Don Callis distraction on Nana and the referee, allowing Andrade El Idolo to hit the low blow, and then the message on Swerve Strickland to get the win. Right now, Swerve's title dreams are in the rearview as Andrade El Idolo now moves on to face Kenny Omega next week. MJF is backstage as we're getting ready to close out the show, seemingly about to be interviewed about his eliminator match with Brody King next week before he's interrupted by Kenny Omega, who cheers him to a potential title match, forcing MJF to walk off. But as MJF is walking off, he is confronted by Andrade and then Hangman Page outside of his car before driving away in a hurry. And that was this week's AEW Dynamite. Once again, a very good show. From my opinion, a lot of very good matches, a tremendous debut for Ace Austin, and of course the debut of the Psycho Killer, Tommaso Ciampa, Timmy Champs. It's in AEW. Let me know what you guys thought of this week's episode. Please like, share, whatever you got to do on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And once again, be looking out for the latest episode of Nerdz Watching Wrasslin, the first week of February, where I will do a deep dive into the 2026 Royal Rumble from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. My apologies. Once again, I am the Southern Wrestling Scholar, ZJ Pierce. I will see you all next time.